Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Inside Edge, a podcast where we aim to get the inside knowledge as to what makes young and aspiring athletes tick. Today, our guest is Halstead, Cleak, a South African-born cricketer, captain of the UCCE, and currently in the process of becoming a chartered accountant. Thank you for coming on, Kix.
No worries, thanks for having me.
So could you talk to me a little bit about where cricket started for you? Obviously, growing up in South Africa, where did it all begin for you?
Cricket was sort of the first passion, first love. I got a sort of funny story. My first Christmas present I remember being a Jacques Callis cricket set, and I was so excited to wear it. I wore it to church. So I went to church, pads, gloves, helmet, and a bat. But sort of as far back as I can remember, just fell in love with the game and started off playing club cricket before school sports started, and then have been playing it since I was about 6 or 7, all the way until now. Was it always cricket for you, or was there obviously South Africa like renowned for their rugby and hockey and water polo, stuff like that? Was there always cricket, or was there others? What was quite good with our sort of school system is up until the age of about 13, so you start playing at the age of 9. From 9 until 13, they make you play every single sport, and really enjoyed that. Was quite a good hockey player, enjoyed my rugby. I think you kind of have to if you're South African. Enjoyed playing the other sports, but cricket has always been comfortably number one for me.
Yeah, nice. So obviously you made the transition, didn't you, just before, was it lockdown for you?
Yeah, I joined sort of just as the lockdown almost started.
So how did you find that? Obviously going from South Africa, had you been to England with the United Kingdom before? Yeah,
I'd done an exchange in my final year of sort of primary school. So I was about 13. I came over to the UK on a cricket exchange for 3 months, and I loved it. So the minute I got back, I sort of said to my parents, once I finish my schooling and stuff, I want to go over and do university in the UK. So yeah, that was enjoyed that. And then coming over during COVID was pretty tough. I sort of had half of a freshers a little bit, met sort of the people in my flat, but we weren't allowed to go out. So it was quite isolated, and then couldn't fly back that December. So I ended up spending my first Christmas away locked up in my flat on my ones, which was not that enjoyable, but I suppose there'll probably people in the world that were far worse off. Yeah, so obviously that for you, kind of transitioning over and pretty much being by yourself for a couple of months. How did you find that? I've sort of always been a very positive person, and have never struggled with feeling down or sad. But I think that period, I think I've had a pretty easy, cushy life. But I reckon that bit was probably the toughest thing that I've done. But looking back on it now, it sort of, the memories aren't that horrible of it. But I remember not enjoying it that much while I was doing it.
Yeah, I know you're still friends with a bunch of people that you live with in first year, and obviously even though you didn't get to have that sort of freshers experience, it was probably still.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that I'm doing my 5th year of university, I made sure that I caught up on missing out on my first year.
What was it like for you moving away from pretty much everything you knew for 18 years? Obviously leaving your family behind, your friends, the sun, anything enjoyable pretty much coming to rainy Cardiff.
Yeah, well, I've always sort of naturally been quite an independent person. I decided to board while my brother was coming to the school every day.
Back and forth.
Sort of, parents live 15 minutes away. So I've always been naturally very independent. So leaving them was, I think, don't tell my mum this, but I probably didn't miss her as much as she missed me.
A lot of phone calls.
But I think it was an exciting chapter of my life. I knew a lot was changing. I knew I was throwing myself into a group of people, into a society that I had no back knowledge of or understanding of, but I sort of enjoyed it and embraced it. So I think it was more exciting than sort of nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah, so that's the thing with kind of trying to go to that next level of sport. I think stepping out of your comfort zone and trying to kind of put yourself in different situations is quite important. And obviously you've done that before. And would you say that's benefited you not only as a cricketer, but as a person in general?
Oh, massively. I think the sort of friendships and the connections that I've gained, and having to do it all by yourself, not having any pre-existing connections or interactions, and being thrown into a place where you sound completely different, and
Bit of an outsider.
yeah. But I've loved the UK culture, and the banter and stuff is it's unmatched.
Yeah, I know, and I've seen you fit in pretty well with all of that. So, where did you do your exchange? Where was that while you were at school?
I did it at Sherburn Prep, a little school in Dorset. We weren't very good at cricket. I remember we played Millfield, and it was the first time I've ever been in a side that bad, I think, and we got absolutely smashed.
Got thrown in the deep end pretty quick.
But it was a lovely school. They unfortunately weren't the greatest at cricket, but I thoroughly enjoyed my experience.
Yeah. So obviously you came to, out of anywhere you could have gone, obviously Wales probably isn't the predominant area in the UK for cricket. You probably go anywhere else in England, so Southwest where you were. What was the decision to come to Cardiff?
The Cardiff UCCE side had done a pre-season tour out to South Africa, and the coach had been in touch with sort of my school coach saying, is there anyone that's sort of good enough or would be able to come over and study in the UK? So I sort of had that connection, and sort of wrongly I assumed, I knew I wanted to go to one of the universities with a scheme program. And I sort of thought, I'm coming here, no one knows my track record or if I'm any good. So I probably want to go into a system where there's probably maybe not that many good cricketers, and I can slot in rather than having to spend a few seasons proving myself.
Running drinks for all the full-time professionals, yeah.
And then we realised that actually Cardiff is, for some reason, an absolute hub for unbelievably good cricketers, and joined, and I think it's been sort of the best scheme side in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so obviously I've played with you on the scheme for the last 3-4 years, and you kind of see that the Cardiff scheme is probably a little bit above the rest of them.
Yeah.
Any idea why you think that is? Obviously it's rogue place, isn't it, for there to be such a good amount of cricketers?
Wales being any good at cricket, but for some reason, I don't know if the catchment in the southwest is quite a big region, and then I think maybe partly sort of just luck, and we've got lots of boys that are sort of young pros at Glam and Gloss that end up gravitating towards Cardiff. And I think Cardiff as a university city and place is got to be top of the list in terms of what it gives you, not only the cricket but the social life and the university.
That's it. What would you say? Well, would you say that you saw any difference in maybe professionalism and setup between South Africa and England and Cardiff? Because obviously you spent quite a lot of time. Well, actually, tell us a little bit about the setup, how it works in South Africa, obviously above school level cricket.
So our club sport isn't as big as what club sport over here. Our school sport's very good.
Is that weekend cricket, club sport?
Yeah. So you play your club cricket on a Sunday, you play school cricket every Saturday, and then there's a sort of age group county set up, but you don't train for the whole year. It's a 1-week tournament against the other counties, and then you go back and play your school cricket. So I sort of made the sort of main team, which is your under 19 week, which I think it's similar to Bunbury or one of the
you have Bunbury
at
16, and then you have basically the follow on from that for the players that basically perform the best.
Yeah, so I went to the sort of equivalent of Bunbury week, and then got academy contracts at the Lions for sort of just after leaving school. But I'd kind of already assumed that I wanted to go the UK route in general. So we ended up having COVID and lockdown, so I didn't get to play many games or.
So you missed 2 seasons pretty much, South Africa and England.
Yeah, so that wasn't ideal.
No, exactly. So what would you say? So obviously, because of your passport issues and you having to wait another year, is it, until you're eligible to be a professional? You know a lot of professional cricketers, and obviously we train in a professional environment. Would you say that there's much difference in setup between South Africa and England, and maybe just professionalism in general?
Yeah, I think the professionalism experience over here compared to back home is night and day. I think just the funding, the facilities, the amount and level and quality of coaches, I think over here, just as a university side, is run far more professionally than sort of some of the
even professional teams out there.
Some of the professional teams out there. So I think in terms of becoming a better cricketer, my game has improved tenfold what it would have, I think, if I was back home
in South Africa. Yeah, so obviously you say that. So we were just speaking there about you having to wait a little bit before, obviously, because you can't come in unless you're an overseas player, which is usually signed off for the superstars, isn't it?
Yeah, the international boys.
Yeah. So how does that work for you? So obviously you knew coming to Cardiff that you would have to wait 5 years, is it?
Yeah. So I knew it was going to be frustrating, but I sort of had said to myself, the goal is obviously the idea of being a pro at 21, 22 is not going to happen for me. But I said to myself, I said I want to get to the point that when I do qualify, I'm not sitting around being a squad player. I want to be playing and want to end my career having a very good professional track record and career. I might not play for as many years as I would have liked growing up, but that's just sort of the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Yeah, you'd still get to play at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So obviously you coming over here with that big time on your hands, did you ever see that as like, or did that ever hit you mentally that, oh, it doesn't matter, I can go do this, I can go party maybe in the first year, second year, because I know that I've got 3, 4 more years?
Yeah.
Was it tough for you?
I suppose I struggled maybe a little bit last or 2 seasons ago. My first 2 seasons, because it was new and I was like, I'm going to have to prove myself, I had that sort of little bit of an edge. And then about the third year, I was thinking, I'm still another 3 and a bit years away from, it doesn't really matter. But then I didn't end up having a good season that year, and sort of thought, if I'm going to think like this, I'm going to become a very average cricketer very quickly. So I kind of knew that, listen, you got to keep one eye on that end goal of when you do qualify and stuff, that you are a finished package. Because being 26 when I qualify, they're not going to be looking to sign someone as
you have to go beyond, don't you? To really,
you have to be. We can sign him because he's a full package. He's the done deal.
Yeah, and obviously you've done excessively well. So you play in Bristol, don't you, through the summer, and you've done remarkably well. Just moved over to Cornwall, is it Callington?
Yeah. Penzance.
Penzance. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll get in trouble if I say yes to Callington.
What's the thought? Obviously, because for me personally, if I'm being honest, I thought it was a bit of maybe a niche move, because you being in Bristol with 1 year to go, massive hotspot for numerous counties.
Yeah.
But obviously, what was the reason to go over to Cornwall? Obviously, it is obviously still a very good standard, but maybe not as much in the eye.
I think the reasons that drew me to Penzance was a little bit of the fact that I'd done really well 4 seasons in the Whipple, hadn't had much comms from sort of Gloucester or Somerset. So I thought, let me try sort of change it up, because again, waiting the 4 or 5 years of it was getting a little bit monotonous. Feeling like the same,
continuously doing well, but not much end product.
And the Penzance setup, the bloke who runs it all is super committed to the national knockouts, and sort of wanting to win, ideally both the T20 and the 40 over comp. So I think throwing myself in, I've got this sort of scheme environment, but then throwing myself into a team that's sort of main goal was winning and performing and stuff. I think personally I probably thrive a little bit better in those environments, rather than quite easy to fall into just sort of playing for fun. And
you doing well every week, but maybe not the team as well. Because obviously I know Bristol Cricket Club and you guys compete pretty well in that Western Premier League, but obviously at the end of the day it's pretty... There's 2 teams, isn't there, really, that win it year in, year out. So did you ever feel maybe like a bit of a big fish in a small pond in that sense, and wanted kind of like a new challenge, I guess?
I think in some ways, I think we were really lucky. We had a really good group of lads that we all got on really well. We massively punched punched above our weight since we weren't paying any players, and they were all sort of local Bristol boys through and through. But I think they'll still end up. It's a great club, and they've had some of the best overseas I think you can get. And there's a lot of good cricketers, but I think for me it was just more of wanting a change and just see what happens with this move, and
just a new experience.
Yeah, evaluate what I'll do next season.
So obviously talking about the scheme, you've been on the scheme for 5 years, is it now?
Yeah, that's my fifth.
Yeah, you boys have won some trophies. What was it like for you in comparison to now, obviously going onto a scheme where you're put in with a bunch of seriously talented cricketers? Did you feel any imposter syndrome? Obviously, these lads are a lot older than you in that first year, and a lot of it was done online, wasn't it, due to the restrictions? So what was that like for you?
Well, it was a wake-up call, because I came over and I sort of thought, I'll be straight into the setup, and didn't end up getting selected I was part of a winter reserve squad or something. Okay. And then played a game for Cardiff, done really well, and then ended up jumping back into the side. But it was a good experience. I think going to a new place and having to prove yourself, and being surrounded by good cricketers, I think can only benefit your game in terms of improving and pushing 100%. Your own standards.
And especially with the scheme, what I've seen over the years, especially in those first years, that group of boys that you were with, extremely professional. Would you say, and I know you personally, you're very disciplined and very good in the gym, work hard and make sure that even though sometimes it might be a bit of a slow session because boys are tired, you'll always get the stuff done. Would you say that, has that always been there for you, or has that come through watching these other lads aspiring, obviously when you were younger and they were older, in those gym sessions? Is that something that kind of motivated you a little bit?
Yeah, I think with most teams, the culture and the way you go about doing stuff is driven from the boys that have been there the previous years, and joining the older group, not really knowing much about them, but the way they handled the S&C and the doing the small things and stuff, I think it ended up being really good for sort of the year that I joined and the year that yourself, and the years that sort of followed, it kind of has created a bit of a ripple effect. And sort
always
of the way
developing, isn't it?
Yeah, the way we do things.
So obviously now you're doing, is it chartered accountancy? You're on your 5th year doing switched universities and USW now, which is obviously a bit of a further journey for you. How have you found the balance between trying to train full-time as a professional, like as we do, and obviously doing your university? Because I know that our squad sessions are on a Wednesday. You're supposed to be in university on a Wednesday. Seen you a lot of Wednesdays in training. How have you found that balance?
Going back, pretty much all credit to my parents. They were pretty switched on, and the fact that they said, listen, we understand cricket's your love and that's what you want to do, but you have to get a qualification. You have to get a decent degree.
That's it. So, tomorrow you get in a car crash or have an accident. No
can't play cricket. And even if cricket goes really well, you can only probably play until you're 35, 36, and then you got the rest of your life to do stuff. Also, being an international student where mum and dad are picking up the bill and you don't quite get a student loan, they were very strict on if you fail a year, you coming back home.
We're not paying for you to sit around.
So I quickly sort of had clocked on to the fact that I knew that the uni work was non-negotiable, but sort of luckily finished my undergrad in accountancy with the first, and then did a MBA, finished with the first, and sort of this year I've got my 4 final board exams that have proven to be a lot more work than I thought they were going to be.
Thought you got past the hard work.
Yeah, so there have been at training times, and I've sort of made peace with the fact that I'm going to have to sort of do those exams during the winter and give cricket a full focus now that
that build up to the summer's coming along.
Build up to the summer and hopefully to qualifying these next 2 seasons. I think for me will be the most important going forward. Yeah.
So obviously this year you're captain of the scheme. How's the season looking? So obviously I know you guys start pretty early due to you play against obviously the professional teams. Start next Sunday. How's the season looking for you boys?
I think it's going to be an interesting first year. We've got a lot of new lads that have come up to the setup, a lot of young pros, exciting group. And I think boys are looking forward to the season. Obviously, hopefully we can match some of the success that we've had in the previous years. But we got a young group, so hopefully we'll have to see how good the boys are when we actually get outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you've won Bucks now twice.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'd be nice to finish.
Yeah, it'll be nice to
finish
the third.
So obviously you've had all of this we've spoken about here, these situations where you've had to move pretty much across the world. It's been tough, kind of that like prolonged waiting period for you. Is there any advice that you could give to the generation coming through now or aspiring cricketers about kind of maybe taking those risks and moving, well, basically just coming out of your comfort zone pretty much? Is there anything you would give that you've learned maybe or had to develop?
I think for blokes who are wanting to make it in the game, there's lots of different avenues, and we've seen with the sort of franchise cricket that you can almost get picked out of nothing and something can happen. But I think just have a clear plan in your head, understand that you're running your own race. Don't look as hard as it is at other people that are getting opportunities as sort of ahead of you and get frustrated and stuff. Just sort of blinkers on, focus on what you can control, and make sure that you're in the best frame of mind and your games are the best place to succeed, and whatever happens will happen.
Thank you. What's the plan then? Obviously living in Bristol, Cardiff this year. Next year you qualify to be a cricketer in England. What's the plan in an ideal world?
The ideal world, I've loved living in Bristol. I've loved playing for Bristol Cricket Club. So I think out of the clubs, hopefully end up getting signed up at Gloss. Know quite a few lads in the setup, and they all speak really highly of it. So that would be ideal. But realistically, I'll end up, I think, a lot of miles in the car, a lot of trialing around, and then hopefully see what happens.
And obviously you had, was for you, so obviously you had those, was it 4 or 5 seasons at Bristol where you've done pretty ridiculously well. Was there much chat about with coaches from these pretty much counties just coming in and saying, "Hi mate, when are you ready?" Yeah,
I suppose there'd been with a few places some interest, and then when I say I only qualify in 2026, then they go, well, we'll look at you before that. So hopefully the track record, once it does get to that point, I've got a little bit of a history to fall back on.
CV.
Yeah, a bit of a CV. But at the moment, for them, it makes no sense to be throwing money at someone who's not really ever going to get a chance to play if you sign them as an overseas. So I suppose it's the way the cookies crumbled, and it's the way things are, and pretty at peace with it.
Final question. Would you rather play your career, represent England or South Africa?
It's an interesting question.
Have you been asked this before?
Yeah, I have been. I think having grown up most of my adult life in the UK, I think for myself, I find myself watching the tournaments and supporting English cricket.
Yeah.
What I won't do is I will forever be a South African rugby supporter. I think that's ingrained in me. But cricket-wise, if I was lucky enough to ever choose, I think I'd probably end up choosing England. But I don't think I would be upset either way. We've
obviously seen it with cricketers in the past, Kevin Peterson, other ones like that. Would you sing the national anthem, the English national anthem, at a test match away in South Africa?
Yeah, I think even though I've only been here 4 years, I've fell in love with the culture and the society, and I've sort of all my best mates that I imagine will be at my wedding someday in the future are all English. So I think for myself, I don't see myself as an outsider anymore.
No, you feel a part of it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for coming
No
on
worries.
Kicks. It's been very nice to chat to you. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.